I drove up to the Blackthorn Inn on a cold October evening. The old house looked creepy, with tall, pointy roofs and dark windows. I needed a quiet place to finish my book, and this place was cheap. The gravel crunched under my tires as I parked. Something felt off, like the air was too heavy. Inside, the foyer smelled of dust and old flowers. Margaret, the owner, was an older woman with a nervous smile. "Welcome," she said, handing me a brass key. "You're in room 4. It's nice." Her eyes kept darting to the staircase, like she was scared of it. I thought she was just tired. My room was at the end of a dark hallway. The wallpaper was peeling, and the big wooden bed looked ancient, carved with roses. A single window showed a foggy backyard with a twisted oak tree. I unpacked my laptop and tried to write, but the silence was too loud. The house creaked like it was alive. That night, I woke up to footsteps outside my door. They were heavy, slow, like someone was pacing. I held my breath listening. Then I heard a faint whisper, like someone was talking through the wall. I couldn't make out the words, but it sounded scared. I checked the hallway, empty. All the other doors were shut, no lights on. I locked my door and pushed a chair against it, my heart racing. Maybe it was just the wind, I told myself, but I didn't believe it. The next morning, I went downstairs for breakfast. Margaret served eggs and toast at a long table. I was the only guest. The other chairs looked unused, their cushions flat. "Quiet day?" I asked. Margaret's hands shook as she poured coffee. "We don't get many visitors in October," she said, not looking at me. The coffee tasted weird, like ash. I ate quickly and went back to my room, trying to focus on my writing. But the house felt colder, and I kept seeing shadows move from the corner of my eye. I spent the day in room 4, but writing was hard. The air was chilly, even with the heater on. The shadows kept moving, disappearing when I looked at them. Then I noticed the mirror above the dresser. It was old, the glass wavy, every time I walked by. My reflection seemed to lag, like it wasn't keeping up. It freaked me out, so I threw a towel over it. That afternoon, I asked Margaret about the house. "It's old, right? Any history?" Her face went pale, and she dropped a spoon. "Just an old house," she said, too fast, "nothing special." But her eyes went to the staircase again, and I knew she was hiding something. That night, the footsteps came back louder, like they were inside the room. I lay still, barely breathing. The floorboards creaked near the bed, and the whispers started. Again, this time, I heard a woman's voice, clear but scared. "You have to leave." I turned on the lamp, my hands shaking. The room was empty, the chair still against the door, but the air felt heavy, like someone was standing just out of sight. I didn't sleep after that. At sunrise, I went downstairs. Margaret was in the kitchen, scrubbing a pan so hard her hands shook. "I heard noises last night," I said, "footsteps and voices." She dropped the pan with a loud clang. "Old houses creak," she said, not looking at me. "It's just pipes." I didn't believe her. Her face was too pale, her voice too shaky. I wanted to leave, but my car wouldn't start. The battery was dead, even though it worked fine yesterday. I called a mechanic from town, but he couldn't come until tomorrow. I was stuck. I sat in the parlor, searching the internet on my phone. The signal was bad, but I found an old post about the Blackthorn Inn. It said a fire happened in 1892, and 3 people died, 2 women and a man. They were trapped on the 2nd floor. Where my room was, the internet post said weird things happened at the inn after the fire. Guests heard footsteps, saw shadows, or left in the middle of the night. One person swore they saw a woman in a white dress standing at the window of room 4. My stomach twisted. That was my room. I kept reading, but the signal died and my phone wouldn't connect. I went to Margaret at dinner. "What happened here in 1892? I asked. She froze, her teacup shaking. "You've been reading nonsense," she said, her voice cracking. "This is a good house." She stood and left the room fast, her footsteps loud in the hall. I knew she was lying back in my room. I couldn't relax. The towel on the mirror had fallen off, and my reflection looked wrong again, like it was watching me. I covered it back up and tried to sleep, but the house wouldn't let me. The air felt thick, and every creak made me jump. Around midnight, the footsteps started again, slow and heavy, right outside my door. The whispers came louder, saying, "Get out now." I grabbed my phone to call for help, but there was no signal. I checked the door. It was still locked, the chair in place. I sat on the bed, heart pounding, waiting for morning. The whispers stopped, but the silence was worse. It felt like the house was waiting for something. I couldn't stay in room 4 anymore. I dragged my mattress to the parlor and locked the door. The house was quiet, but it felt alive, like it was watching me. I kept all the lights on and my laptop open, trying to stay calm. At 2 a.m., my laptop screen flickered. A shadow moved behind me, a woman's shape, her head tilted weirdly. I turned around, but no one was there. My heart was in my throat. Then the knocking started. It came from the ceiling, right above me, the second floor. It was slow at first, then faster, louder, like someone was banging to get out. I clutched my phone, but the signal was still gone. The knocking turned into a low moan, like someone in pain. It came from all around, echoing in the walls. I don't know how I made it to morning. The noises stopped at dawn, but I was shaking. I packed my bag and went to find Margaret. The kitchen was empty, the coffee pot cold. She was gone. I waited in the parlor, jumping at every sound, until the mechanic came at noon. He fixed my car, and I was ready to leave. As I walked to my car, I looked back at the inn. In the window of room 4, I saw her, a pale face with black, empty eyes, staring right at me. My blood went cold. I got in the car and drove away, not looking back again. The road was foggy, but I kept going, needing to get as far from the Blackthorn inn as I could. That night, in a motel 2 hours away, I tried to sleep, but I heard them, the footsteps, soft but clear, pacing outside my door. I checked, but the hallway was empty. My phone worked now, but I didn't know who to call. I lay awake, listening, too scared to close my eyes. The next day, I looked up more about the inn. I found another post, older, saying the 3 people who died in the fire never left. They were seen by guests, heard in the walls, felt in the air. One name stuck out, Eliza, a woman who died in room 4. The post said she warned people to leave, but no one listened. I went back home, thinking I'd be safe, but the footsteps followed me. Every night, I heard them, soft and slow, like someone walking in my apartment. The whispers came too, always the same. "You have to leave." I checked my locks, my windows, everything was secure. But I felt her, Eliza, watching me. I stopped sleeping. My eyes burned, and I jumped at every sound. I saw shadows in my mirrors, in my windows, always gone when I looked closer. My friend said I looked sick, but I didn't tell them about the inn. They wouldn't believe me. One night, I woke to a cold hand on my arm. I screamed, but no one was there. The air was freezing, and my breath fogged. The whispers were louder now, not just in my ears but in my head. You didn't listen. I ran to the living room, turned on every light, and stayed there until morning. I couldn't live like this. I went back to the internet, looking for anything about the Blackthorn Inn. I found a local historian's blog. It said the inn was built in 1870, and the fire in 1892 wasn't an accident. Someone said it, trapping the 3 guests inside. Eliza was one of them, a young woman staying alone. The blog said her spirit was angry, warning people to leave before the house claimed them to. I called the historian. He was old, his voice shaky. Don't go back. He said, the inn doesn't let go. Eliza tries to warn people, but the others, they don't want you to leave. I asked who the others were, but he hung up. That night, the footsteps were louder, and the moans came back, low and sad. I tried to find Margaret, but her phone was disconnected. The inn's website was gone too. It was like the place didn't exist anymore. But I knew it was real. I could still feel it, like a weight on my chest. I moved to a new apartment, thinking distance would help. It didn't. The footsteps followed. The whispers never stopped. Every night, I saw her in my dreams, Eliza, her face pale, her eyes black, pointing at me. You didn't leave, she said. I woke up screaming, my heart pounding. I don't sleep much now. The shadows are always there, in the corner of my eye. The air is always cold. No matter where I go, I hear the footsteps, the whispers, the moans. I see Eliza, standing just behind me, waiting. I don't know what she wants, but I know one thing. I stayed at the Blackthorn Inn, and the guests never left. They're with me now, and I don't think they'll ever let me go.